Have you ever sat alone and quietly asked yourself, why does my own child feel so far away now? Maybe they don't call as often, maybe their words feel rushed, or maybe the love and respect you once felt, it just isn't there the same way anymore. If that makes your heart ache, you're not alone. But this video isn't here to place blame, and it's not here to say you did something wrong. This is something deeper, gentler, and full of hope, because your worth hasn't gone anywhere. Your love, your presence, still matters deeply. And in the next few minutes, we'll walk through 8 quiet, powerful insights that can help you feel respected again, without anger, without pressure, and without losing yourself in the process. You'll discover how to respond with grace instead of pain, how to rediscover joy in your own life, how to set boundaries that are loving, not harsh, how to speak in ways that open hearts, and how to rebuild not just relationships, but your peace of mind. Because you deserve to be seen, you deserve to feel loved, you deserve to know that your presence still matters. So stay with us, dear friend. This might be the reminder your heart has been quietly waiting for. Insight number 1, choose calm. Pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. When it seems like your children don't really see you anymore. Dear friend, have you ever sat quietly, waiting for a call that never came? Or had a visit from your child where the warmth and familiarity seemed distant? We understand. That feeling of being overlooked or forgotten can cut deep. You've poured so much love into raising your children, so when they seem absent or indifferent, it's natural to ask, did I do something wrong? But before reacting in frustration or sadness, we invite you to do something else first. Pause. Take a breath and begin from a place of gentle reflection, not hurt. Here's a true story we think you'll appreciate. Mr. David, a 73-year-old father, had always been attentive and loving. After his wife passed away, he found himself alone more often. His son rarely called. The silence stung. One evening, after yet another unanswered message, Mr. David reached for his phone to say, "Do you even care about me anymore?" But then, he paused. Instead of calling, he got on his old bicycle and rode slowly to the neighborhood park. As he sat under a tree, memories of happier days came back. Bike rides with his son, shared laughter, family meals. And he realized,
my son may have forgotten to call, but I haven't forgotten how to love.
That night, he wrote a letter.
I miss you. I care for you, just like always.
A few days later, the phone rang. His son was on the other end, apologetic, emotional. That single letter opened the door again. What can we learn from this? When we feel hurt, we often remember everything that's gone wrong. But when we talk about what our children have done for us, we tend to be vague. So instead of replaying hurtful images, let's ask,
what can I do today to make this relationship better?
That one question shifts your mindset from pain to possibility. And when you feel ready, ask yourself 3 quiet questions. What do I know about my relationship with my child? What do I believe about their love for me? What do I understand about the life they're living right now? These aren't questions to blame yourself or them. They're questions to help you breathe easier, soften your heart, and choose your next steps with grace. So, dear friend, you don't have to prove your worth to be loved. You only need to return to your truth, that your love is still here. We're walking with you, not to teach or preach, but to remind you that reconnection is always possible. It begins not with guilt or demands, but with one gentle moment, one pause, one smile, one kind word. Family bonds may stretch, but they don't have to break. Let's keep the door open together. So, my friend, now that we've taken a breath and given our heart a little more room to soften, let's take the next step. Because once we stop reacting, we create space to start rebuilding. Not by waiting for someone else to change, but by gently shifting our focus back to ourselves. In the next part, we'll explore what it means to find new purpose, even in this stage of life. How living for yourself, joyfully, fully, intentionally, can transform not only, but your relationship with your children too. Let's keep going. You're doing beautifully. Insight number 2, rebuild your own life. Find new purpose. Sometimes we wait and wait, hoping our children will call, visit, or ask how we're doing. We sit by the phone, we glance at the calendar, we wonder,
did they forget me?
But in all that waiting, we might forget something even more important. We still have a life to live, and it's not over, not even close. If you've ever felt a little lonely, a little invisible, This might be the perfect time to gently ask yourself,
What brings me joy? What makes me feel alive?
because you don't have to wait for someone else to bring meaning into your life. You can create it right here, right now. Let me tell you a story. Elena, 68, lost her husband a few years ago. Her kids were busy, calls became rare. At first, she spent her days waiting, quiet, empty. Then one day, she found a packet of seeds in the back of a drawer. She planted a few flowers, then some herbs. Her little garden grew, so did her smile. She joined a garden club, met neighbors, shared fresh veggies with friends. And one day, her daughter called.
Mom,
She said,
you sound so happy lately. What changed?
Elena smiled and said,
I stopped waiting. I started living.
but here's the deeper truth. She also started feeling full again, inside. She wasn't waiting to be filled by someone else's love or attention. She found her own light, her own sense of enoughness. That's the key. Not just staying busy, but feeling connected to yourself, to life, to something meaningful. You feel whole on the inside, you stop chasing love, and love begins to return to you naturally. So today, friend, what's your packet of seeds? Is it a paintbrush, a new recipe, a walk to the local park? Is it journaling in the morning, or finally calling that neighbor you've been thinking about? You don't need something big, just something real, something that brings you home to you. And when you feel that wholeness again, others will feel it too. Now, once you reconnect with yourself, how do you reconnect with the people you love? Let's talk about that next. Insight number 3, communicate with wisdom and warmth. Sometimes when your children become distant, the silence hurts more than words can say. You start to wonder,
What happened? Why don't they call like they used to?
and the longer it goes on, the more that sadness can grow into frustration, maybe even anger. But here's something powerful we've learned. Emotional reactions can push people further away. Gentle honesty brings them closer. Let's take the story of Mr. Peterson, a retired carpenter in his 70s. For months, he hadn't heard from his son, James. Not a call, not a visit. Every day, Mr. Peterson sat by the window, waiting. At first, he thought,
James is probably just busy.
but over time, that silence became painful. One day, Mr. Peterson nearly picked up the phone to say,
Why are you ignoring me? Don't you care?
but instead, he paused. He took a deep breath, sat at his kitchen table, and wrote a letter. A short one, simple, honest.
Dear James, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I miss hearing about your life. I just want you to know that I'm always here, and I'm proud of you no matter what.
A few days later, his phone rang. It was James. He'd been overwhelmed with work and parenting, but the letter reminded him of something he'd forgotten, how much his dad truly loved him. From then on, the calls became more regular. Short at first, then longer. One small act of heartfelt communication had reopened the door. What's the lesson here? When you communicate with wisdom, not blame, you invite connection, not conflict. Instead of saying, you never call me, try, I was thinking about you today. I miss our chats. I always love hearing your voice. It brightens my day. These gentle reminders of love don't pressure, they welcome. So if you're feeling hurt, it's okay to express it, but do it with the kind of kindness you'd want someone to show you. Words carry energy. They can build bridges or build walls. And remember, sometimes people don't even know they've drifted away. A soft voice can guide them back much faster than a raised one. What can you do today? Write a note, send a message, leave a voicemail, share your heart, not your frustration. Because real communication doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be real. And when you've spoken your truth with love, the next step is learning how to protect your peace. In the next insight, we'll explore how to create healthy boundaries without guilt or fear so you can feel respected, calm, and more in control of your life. Insight number 4, set healthy boundaries without guilt. Let's talk about something we don't often say out loud. Sometimes the people we love the most can also be the ones who forget our limits. And when that happens, it's easy to stay quiet, to go along, to tell ourselves,
It's fine. I don't want to upset anyone.
but deep down, it doesn't feel fine. You feel tired, you feel used, you feel invisible. So let's pause right here and say something important. Respect goes both ways, and setting a boundary is not pushing people away. It's letting them come closer with understanding. Let us tell you a story. There's a woman named Rosa, 73 years old, living in a quiet neighborhood. Her son Daniel visits often, but only when he needs something.
Can you watch the kids this weekend? Can I borrow some money? Can I drop off the laundry?
Never a, "How are you, Mom?" Never a "Thank you." At first, Rosa always said yes, because she thought that's what good mothers do. But little by little, she felt drained. She started to dread his visits, and one morning, she sat at her kitchen table and asked herself,
If I keep giving like this, when do I get to live my own life?
so she did something small but powerful. The next time Daniel called, she said,
Sweetheart, I love helping you, but I won't be free this weekend. I have plans.
"Plans? Yes, a walk in the park, a visit to her friend, a yoga class, plans for herself." At first, Daniel was surprised, but Rosa stayed kind and consistent. She didn't slam the door. She simply opened a new one, with clear expectations. Over time, Daniel changed too. He started asking instead of assuming. He said thank you more. And slowly they began to talk, not as parent and child in crisis, but as adults, learning to see each other again. So here's what we've learned from Rosa. A clear boundary is an invitation to better connection. It says, I respect myself, and I want our relationship to be healthy. And here's a simple truth. People treat us the way we teach them to. When you say what you need with kindness and courage, others learn how to love you better. So if you've been feeling stretched too thin, friend, start with one sentence. Here's what I can do, and here's what I can't. Then breathe. Trust that clarity will carry you farther than silence ever did. And as we move forward to insight number 5, remember, the best way to teach respect is to live it. Let's keep going. Insight number 5, lead by example. Let your life be the lesson. Let's be honest, when we feel unseen or disrespected by the people we love, our first instinct is to correct them, to explain, to make them understand. But sometimes the most powerful way to teach is to quietly show. Meet Mr. Lorenzo, a kind man in his 70s who spent most of his life working at a local factory, raising 3 kids and doing his best to be a steady presence in their lives. As his children grew up and moved on, the phone calls slowed. The visits became brief. And when they did visit, they were often distracted, more focused on their phones than on him. At first, Mr. Lorenzo felt a sting, a sense of being forgotten, but instead of complaining or scolding or demanding attention, he chose something different. He kept showing up, with warmth. He welcomed them with a smile. He listened when they talked. He asked thoughtful questions, even when the answers were short. And over time, something shifted. The kids began to stay a little longer. They asked him for advice. They brought their children to visit, not because he asked them to, but because he reminded them, with his actions, what respect looks like. Here's the truth. People don't remember lectures. They remember how you made them feel. So if you want to be treated with kindness, treat others that way, even when it's hard, even when it's not returned right away. Be the steady light, be the calm presence, be the person you're proud to be. Because in the end, leading by example doesn't just change how people treat you, it changes who they become. Let's carry that spirit forward into insight number 6. Stay financially independent. Let your strength shine quietly. There's something quietly powerful about a person who takes care of their own needs, especially in later life. We've met many kind, giving parents who spent decades caring for others. And now, in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, they wonder, will someone care for me? It's natural to hope that our children will step in when needed. But let's be honest, depending on them, especially for money, can feel uncomfortable. And it may even create tension we never meant to cause. That's why financial independence is about more than money. It's about energy, it's about peace of mind, and it's about letting your quiet strength shine. Let's tell you a story. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, both retired, realized their house was too big, too many rooms, too many bills. So they chose to downsize, not out of fear, but with intention. They created a budget. They simplified their life. They made space for peace. Soon after, their children began asking them for advice.
How are you two so calm about money? What's your secret?
And that's when something shifted. They weren't just mom and dad anymore. They became role models, proof that planning with purpose brings quiet confidence. Financial independence can mean 2 things. Yes, it means covering your needs, but it also means having the freedom to use money meaningfully on things that bring you joy, help others, or express your values. When your energy is calm and your choices are thoughtful, you naturally attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right support. So ask yourself, am I using money in a way that reflects what I truly care about? Do I have a plan for the years ahead that feels light and manageable? Can I find meaning in how I spend, not just in what I save? Because when you're peaceful inside, your outer world reflects it. When your money flows with intention, so does your life. And that kind of strength, it's impossible not to notice. Let's take that grounded confidence with us into insight number 7. Forgive and remember your worth with gratitude. Sometimes the people we love most forget how much we've given. They get busy, they say things that hurt, they pull away, and that can leave us feeling invisible or wondering if we did something wrong. But before we get lost in those feelings, let's pause together and ask, what do we know? What do we believe? What do we understand deeply about love, forgiveness, and our own value? We know this. Holding on to resentment only weighs us down. Forgiveness, when it's ready, is a gift we give ourselves, not because others always deserve it, but because we deserve peace. We believe that every person carries their own struggles, their own blind spots. Sometimes people simply don't know how to show up. That's not your fault. We understand this. Forgiveness is not forgetting, and it's certainly not accepting disrespect. It's a way of choosing clarity over chaos, kindness over bitterness, freedom over pain, and it begins by remembering your worth. You are still valuable. You are still full of wisdom, love, and light. No one's absence or silence can take that away. And if you ever feel doubt creeping in, breathe deeply and shift your focus. Start with gratitude. Gratitude for the breath in your lungs, for the strength in your steps, for the moments you can still choose how you respond. Gratitude softens the heart, widens the view, and brings peace into places pain once lived. When you look at others, try to see what's still good. When you speak of someone, begin with a kind thought. When you reflect on your own journey, hold it with pride. That kind of energy, the kind that forgives, respects, and uplifts, it's powerful. It transforms not only you, but the world around you. So don't wait for someone to change in order to feel peace. Let your own heart be the place where healing begins. And with that clarity, let's gently move forward into insight number 8. Build a new circle of companionship. You're not meant to walk alone. There's something many of us don't expect as we grow older. Not the physical aches, not the changing routines, but the quiet ache of loneliness. Sometimes it's not just about missing company, it's about missing connection, the kind where you feel seen, heard, and valued. We wait for calls that don't come. We think maybe they're too busy, maybe I shouldn't bother them. And slowly, we begin to retreat into our own quiet shell. But dear friend, you were never meant to shrink. You were meant to keep blooming in every season of life. So here's something to remember. When old connections grow distant, you can create new ones. It doesn't take a crowd. It just takes a little courage. A simple hello to a neighbor, a shared laugh at the community center, a conversation with someone who, just like you, longs to feel connected again. Because when you choose to show up, not just for others, but for yourself, you begin to feel life returning to your chest. You laugh again. You listen and are listened to. You become a quiet light for others who've also been hoping for friendship. And the beautiful truth is, life becomes more meaningful when it's shared. When we're surrounded by good relationships, even just a few, we feel safe, energized, and hopeful. We're reminded that we're not just growing older. We're still growing. Let's never forget, people are the greatest form of wealth. Wherever there are people, there's opportunity to create meaning, to offer value, and to receive warmth in return. You don't need to be the loudest voice or the most outgoing. You just need to be present, to be open, to take the first gentle step. So today, maybe that means calling someone you haven't spoken to in a while, joining a local group, or even saying yes to that invitation you keep putting off. Connection is not behind you. It's still possible and still waiting. Let's create it. Let's nurture it. Let's honor the people in our lives and let them honor us in return. Because where there's connection, there's life. And your life is far from over. Growing older doesn't mean losing your value. It's an invitation to slow down, look deeper, and love yourself more tenderly. We know, not every day feels easy. Sometimes your children are busy and don't call as often. Sometimes your body feels tired, your heart feels quiet, or you feel a little forgotten. But please, don't let those moments make you doubt your worth. You are still a deeply valuable part of this world. Through the 8 insights we've shared together, we've learned that pausing instead of reacting is a quiet kind of wisdom. Finding small joys each day helps nourish your inner light. Expressing your feelings gently protects your relationships. Setting kind boundaries keeps your peace and self-respect. Living kindly teaches more than any words ever could. Financial independence preserves your dignity and freedom. Forgiveness is a gift, for others and for yourself. And even as life changes, you can build new and meaningful connections. You don't need to try harder to be enough, because you've always been enough, just as you are, gentle, wise, and full of light. And if today feels quieter than usual, just remember, your presence in this world still matters deeply. We are grateful for you, for your presence. Thank you for spending this time with us. We know life doesn't always feel easy, especially when the people you love don't seem to notice or understand you anymore. But please remember this: you still matter. You still have so much to give. And most importantly, you still deserve love, not just from others, but from yourself. Maybe it's time to treat yourself with the same kindness you've always given to others, to speak gently to yourself, to take care of your health, to enjoy a walk, a good meal, or a quiet moment just for you. That's not selfish. That's self-love. And when you love yourself more, life begins to feel lighter. You feel calmer, stronger, and even the people around you begin to notice. So here's our invitation to you. Start today. Do one small thing that makes your heart feel full. And know this: you are not too old, too late, or too forgotten. You are still here, you are still growing, and your story is not over. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone you care about. And in the comments, tell us, what's one small act of kindness you'll give to yourself today? And when you're ready, we've created more videos just for you about healing, joy, connection, and growing stronger with age. You can watch the next one right after this. We're here. We believe in you, and we're so grateful you're walking this journey with us.